Awesome. Okay then, well, we are rolling.
We're rolling.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Luton Central podcast today with my special guest, Bina Briggs from Plain Talking HR. How you doing, Bina? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Thank
Luton
you so much.
I've been looking forward to this for such a long time.
Yeah,
so
me
it's
too.
lovely. It's
Me
lovely.
too. It's we've had to rearrange a couple of times.
We did, didn't we?
Been very busy. Yourself, obviously, you're incredibly busy, and then I've had some issues myself. But yeah,
It's life.
Exactly, life throws things at you. But yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I was saying to you just as I got in that Janswell House has always been like such a big part of my life growing up. It's like because I grew up in this area in Sopsley, and you can't miss it. Anywhere you are in Sopsley, you can see Janswell House.
You can see it, yeah.
Giant building. And when I was a kid, it always made me think of like, you know, that we had this thing here, and it showed that there is some success that we could have in Luton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always knew that from quite a young age. So to be here, this is my first time in the building. So to be here is like a massive thing for me. And
that's one thing ticked off.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about you, obviously, because this is, you know, your podcast episode that we're going to have. And I like to just kind of let people talk about whatever they want. And what I was kind of hoping at first to get from you is obviously there's going to be people out there that don't necessarily know who you are. And they need to have a bit of background. So tell us about little Bina. Where's little Bina start off in the world? Like what was your journey like? And yeah, just whatever you want to tell.
Well, I was born in Uganda, in Entebbe, and hopefully you heard the name Entebbe. No. Well, then it's map geography time.
Yeah.
Do Google Maps. But you must have heard of Lake Victoria.
Yeah, I've heard Lake Victoria.
It's on the shores of Lake Victoria, Entebbe, and that's where I was born. Indian family. I'm Gujarati, and you know, very, very much into a you know, Indian Gujarati family and that community. And did all my schooling over there, and then went to India to do my degree. And then things happened. There are two things happened. One, first of all, you'll have to read the book, but very briefly, my dad wasn't too happy about me going further. So when I got back from my holidays through college, he decided I wasn't going to go further and I would stay back in Uganda instead of going back to India. So anyway, so that happened. But also, Mom and Dad didn't have a very good marriage. And so we did want to leave him anyway. So, and then Idi Amin happened in 1972 when he decided that all the Asians will have to leave. And he gave us 90 days notice, as it were, 3 months to go. In the beginning, people thought, it's joking, surely, you know, can't be. You know, there were generations who'd been in East Africa, Uganda, you know, people who had come over, my dad and, you know, generations before him. So back in the 1930s and 40s and, you know, probably longer than previous to that. So, and, you know, they were part of the development of the country and everything else, you know, the infrastructure and business and commerce, whatever. So it just wasn't like, surely,
you know, it's serious.
It's a bit like, you know, you see it, we've seen it repeated in history in different countries, and you think, surely not. But yeah, so in the beginning, people didn't take it seriously, and then he brought in the curfew, you know, from dusk to dawn, and then a whole lot of stuff started happening. People started disappearing, you know, from the Asian community, and then all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we started taking it seriously, and then it was like panic, and where do we go, etc. But one of the things that people don't probably know, or probably didn't realize, even don't realize now, that because we as Indians had gone over, my dad, my mom, we did have British passports because at the time it was, you know, part of the British Empire.
Yeah.
And so I've always had a British passport, even though I was in Uganda, you know. And so when it happened, basically, you know, it was just right, you have to take these Asians in. And, politically, I don't like to be political, but anyway, there was a lot of hoo-ha between India and Britain, who should take these so-called refugees. And of course, with British passports, India said, well, they might have brown skin, but they're not ours. They've got brown. They have got British passports, so you better take them. So yeah, so we came here, and
how old was you roughly when this?
I was quite old, So, but I'll let you into secret. That was 50 years ago. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Well, you look very good. You need to tell me what your moisturizer is.
Well, I'm a lot older than you think I am. So anyway, basically what's happened then is literally, it was a case of we came over here, and at the time there was an option of either you go to refugee camps, which were dotted around the country. And I think the nearest one for us was going to be Leicester or towards Leeds, or I think somewhere in Wales. But then there was some extended family. With us Indians, we always have extended family, like whoever, it becomes uncle and auntie and cousin and all that. So we have extended family in Luton from Kenya. They'd come over and they just said, right, okay, don't worry about going to camps, come here. We'll find you some rented accommodation and all that. And so we did on 7th of October, 1972. So last year on October the 7th, it was 50 years.
Wow.
And I came to Luton. I came to sunny Luton.
Yeah.
And, well, I've remained.
And this is it. This has been your home ever since. That's
so I'm a Lutonian in that respect. I've been here for 50 years. So,
You're far more Lutonian than me. You've got time.
You are very young, my dear. You're very young.
You've got time of being spent here. And,
so that's how I am. That's how I came to Luton, and then found a job very quickly at Luton Airport within about 6 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
But it was just like a sprog, in one of the companies as a data processing officer. It was like grand title. But anyway, it was just that at the airport. And then from there, basically, I was there for a little while, and then, the company changed its, it kind of, the way they were doing business, and they wanted some mainframes and la la la. So, they were talking about giving redundancies to people, and I just thought, right, let's get out of here. And I was looking around, and then there were jobs going at Luton Telephone Exchange.
Yeah.
So there you go. And this is where you have to read the book, because.
Well, should we talk about the book a little bit?
Right, let's talk about the book.
You've got two books here. The first one is called The Red Thread, and on the back it says, I'm not very good at reading through masks, so can I give this to you?
Yeah,
I just realised
I
can't read this properly.
Right, it's called about Bina Briggs, who arrived in the UK as a refugee from Uganda in 1972, shares a series of stories of life lessons, of love, strength, and determination. The book details resilience, tenderness, kindness, and gratitude. You will find humor, failures, friendships, and successes experienced mainly by women. Bina's mother, Indira, was the inspiration for this book. It shares her thoughts, entwined with those of Bina and her sister, and some of the women whom she has admired. This book spans from the early 20th century to the present day. The message in this book is crystal clear. No matter where you are in life, you will come through. Do not despair. There is always a way. Have faith, have a vision to which you are totally committed. Believe in yourself and your God, your universe, whoever it is that you believe in. Follow the process. You will be familiar with the phrase, ask, believe, receive. Trust the process. It always works out for the better. That's
beautiful, beautiful. I cannot wait. And Bina has given me this book and signed it on the inside. Look at this. How lovely is that? What a lovely gift. Honestly, I'm so excited to read
You're
it.
welcome.
I know it's centered towards women, but there's so many life lessons that can be attained by anybody.
It's for anyone. And to be honest, you know, one of the things that really, because of my mum, I wanted to write the story. And shall we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, can we talk about the other book? And then we'll go back.
Yeah, sure.
So we've also got this one, which is Fab Collab. I've had a little read of this, in particular Bina's section, Bina's chapter 2, where you talk about the how collaboration is inherent, right? See, I've been reading it.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
And what you talk about within that is that there's an ancient sort of feeling within women to just naturally collaborate with each other, to build communities, to build families, to build bonds between each other. And honestly, like, the skills that you can read about in here about how to collaborate with people, I think within the workplace, obviously, but also without outside the workplace, in sports teams, in just community clubs, in churches, in mosques, anywhere,
in life.
Honestly, this book teaches so many great skills about what you can do to get better at collaboration with people. And honestly, I completely agree. Collaboration is key to successful relationships in life. Because, like you talk about, you say it's mutually beneficial, which is obviously a great thing to work towards with people. Because if I'm helping you, you want to help me, and it's just a natural thing in human life.
I mean, if you think about our communities in Luton, you know, we both are proud Lutonians. And, you know, if you think about the communities, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are from. But here in Luton, it's all about collaboration, isn't it? Yeah. Every single time, through business, through community, through helping each other, it doesn't matter who you are. There's always somebody who's there. And it's about collaboration, to working together and just making life better for everyone concerned, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so the life lessons, and obviously there's quite a number of, you know, there's 14 of us, 15 of us who wrote the book. So there are chapters on businesses and so on, but there's also quite a lot of synergy, but some
personal stories as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're all personal stories, and what comes out through all of them again is that thread of being there for everyone. And the thing is, if you think about it, there's this saying that, you know, a person cannot be an island. We never are. You know, if you look around, you know, your family, your community, whoever you look around, there's always some collaboration going on with something or other, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
I agree. I'm so sorry. We'll come back in a second. I've just realised something. Okay, no, we're fine. We're fine. Because I'm doing this on a phone. Obviously. What was that?
No, that's fine.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's
I'm so sorry. I'm just making a mess.
No, you are not. You're fine.
I'm going to be in trouble after we stop filming. I know it. No, so where I'm filming on a phone, obviously I film my podcasts, and sometimes I forget to I upload them and I forget to delete off my phone, and then my memory gets chock-a-block. And one of the problems that I've had whilst filming is that I've seen that sometimes I'll be filming with someone and it just stops, and I don't know why. And it's because my memory's been used up. So I apologise to interrupt, but in a way we can now segue into talking about the book properly, because I really want to know your thoughts on why you decided to write the book. Firstly, you know, where you got your inspiration from, and how you think it can help people. So let's attack one question at a time. So yeah, why did you want to write the book?
I think I started saying it that
this is the red thread.
The red thread. And there is a reason why it's called the red thread.
And it's got a nice little red thread inside it.
Yeah,
hasn't it? Look at this. Yeah. Look. Oh, I'm not doing very well holding it. There you go. You see that? There you go. We've got a nice little red thread. It's called a Raki. Oh, that's beautiful.
And what it means is that you really, and I'm wearing one. I've got quite a few on there.
Let's have a look at this. I think I'll put one on after the show.
That's and you will have that on as well.
Yes.
And basically, it's for protection. There is a brother and sister festival in Hindus that is around August time, when the sister puts the Rakhi on the brother's wrist, and it's always on the right one, to protect him and so on. But now what has come through is that the red thread is like you can tie it to anybody you feel you love and you want to protect them. It is for their protection. So it's become quite popular. But also there is I think in a couple of other cultures, red threads are like invisible threads that connect us all. And when you put a red thread over somebody or connect them with you, that means that even if they're not with you, that invisible thread that is, binding you together will always be there. And so they'll always be in your life, whether they're there physically present with you or not, but they're always there.
That's such a beautiful thought. I really love the idea of that. I've got someone in mind that I want to do that on me, and I'll get you a picture. I'll show you for a fact that this is now my new thing. I don't really wear anything in my wrist. I don't wear watches or anything.
Well, this is kind of taking over at the moment. I keep tying them on everyone, and then all of them they just say, I want to tie it on such and such, and it's kind of like a movement. Yeah. It's just beautiful. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely lovely.
But then, so that's one of the reasons why it was called The Red Thread. We were trying to think about what the title could be with me and the publisher. But then also I was talking about a common thread, because there's a common thread in all the stories and, and people's lives. And so it seemed like the right thing it suddenly kind of came into my head. But why did I want to write the story? As I had touched on the fact that Mum and Dad didn't have a happy marriage. And so, and we came here. And so when we came to Luton, and although we all came together, then Dad went to India, and that was it. That was fine. So we kind of, myself, Mum, and my young sister, we were here on our own, and it's fine. So we started the life from very beginning here on our own, and so it was a new life in a number of ways. But so Mum's story is so strong and is so kind of relevant, where women or anybody in a relationship, when they are given a chance to flourish, they do. But in our culture and a lot of other cultures, these kind of things are kind of hidden and they don't come out in the open. Nowadays, people do talk about the younger generations, and people are quite okay to talk about a marriage has failed and they've had a divorce or separated or whatever, or they find the strength in them to leave the partner or leave the house, the family home, etc. But in my mom's days, there was nothing like that. I'm going back to this 40s, 50s and 60s and so on. So it was something like that. She never told her family what she was going through, because we were the only ones in East Africa. The rest of the family, a very big family, was in India, but she never even indicated that, what was going through with her. So after Mum passed away, and Mum, she passed away very suddenly. She had liver cancer, and we had very short notice, and she went. It will be 20 years this year. She went in 2003, and I was really affected by it all for a number of years, and I just couldn't get to just couldn't get my head round that Mum had gone. Anyway, somehow, somewhere, I just thought, no, her story needs to be told, and so I was going, right, I need to write a book. I need to tell the world. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, I'll write about it. And never thought myself to be a writer or anything, or author or whatever. It was just this burning desire to tell Mum's story and to say, look, if she can do this, anybody can do that. And so it happened. And things, and it's always the case that, you think, as I said, you think it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for me. How am I going to get through this, or whatever the problem you have? We all do, but we have to have that faith that no, we will do it one day. We will get there, and just have that faith and trust the process. As I said, just go for it. Just think about it,
Yeah,
and it will happen.
I think we're always focused so far away on the final destination. We forget that there's hurdles in between.
Exactly.
And sometimes you're going to jump and miss one, and you're going to have to get up and dust yourself off and go again. And as long as, like you say, you can see that the goal is there, but to also be aware of the dangers and the things you're going to have to traverse to get to it. That's a wonderful thought to see.
And it was just that, and it took a little while before I started thinking about it, and then I touched base with a publisher, and then again it didn't happen. But when it was meant to happen, it happened just like that. I saw her a post from her on Instagram saying, if you want any help with writing a book, etc. And I had tried to connect her nearly a year or 2 years before that, and nothing had happened. So I just literally sent her a message to say, I'd love to. I had sent you a message before, but we didn't connect properly. And she came straight back and said, right, okay. So, we can talk tomorrow. And I said, okay, but tomorrow it can be only for 15 minutes. And I said, I've got a hair appointment. I can't miss that. And this was around lockdown. It was the first lockdown in July when, the shops were all closed and hairdressers and everything. And I really needed to go and see the hairdressers. I said, I'm not missing that appointment. And so I said, well, we can talk about 15 minutes. So we did. And she said, I explained very, very briefly. And she said, well, yeah, that sounds good. She normally does a lot of business books. So this was quite new to her. But she said, yeah. And then I asked her, I said, do you think I should write the book? And she said, Bina, definitely. She said, I don't ever tell people. If somebody comes to me and say they want to write a book, I never say to them whether they should or not. I just help them. But in your case, definitely you have to write the book. So I said, fine, okay, let's do it. And so we did during lockdown. And I wrote it in 12 weeks.
Oh my gosh. No way.
I did.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Because I didn't have any option. It was around lockdown. It was in lockdown. And the publisher said, well, Bina, either you do it in the time I tell you or you don't. And that's it. No, that's it.
She put you to the cosh. That's the thing, like to say to, sometimes you do need a deadline. You know what I mean? You do, because without a deadline, it's like you can meander and you can procrastinate, and eventually you don't get it done. And when you're in a tight time frame, all of your energy goes into it. I always say to my kids that you never, and excuse my French, you never half-ass two things. You full-ass one thing. You know what I mean? And when you do put everything behind one thing, it's like you give so much more to it, and the end product is so much better than if you're split between different things, or if you're you want to relax and you want to do other things. You think you've got all the time in the world, so then you never get the finished product.
It's focus, isn't it? You just focus and get it done.
Exactly.
But that was the deadline, and she said, "You do it or you don't." So I said, "Fine." So it was quite something, but yeah.
What's the kind of reception that you received from what people have said who've read it?
Everybody loves it.
Everybody loves it,
and which I was surprised because I thought it's more like a women kind of book, and so some of my test readers were men, dedicated to them as well, but also a number of people who read it, men. They've loved it as well. And that is kind of a nice feeling, because I suppose I hadn't targeted it to anybody, but I knew that naturally more women would probably read it than men would. But then having got some test readers, I said, look, could you read them and see what tell me what you think, and they all loved it. So in fact, one of the testimonials I had, and have we got time?
Yeah, we've got all the time in the world.
So and this is quite relevant here, because it's about a gentleman I met. Oh, I don't know. I've got the itchy nose today. I met a gentleman at the Luton Football Club, Business Club, and he was one of the new people who I'd never seen him before. Anyway, we just sat around tables and said hello and whatever, and we started talking. And he said, like natural, where are you from? And I said, my name is Bina, etc. And he said, oh, are you Indian? I said, yeah. But I said I was born in East Africa. But says, oh, I've been to India. Which part of India are you? The way it goes. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I've got a
no, it's okay.
very.
Do you want to pause?
No, it's fine. No, it's just I've got an itchy nose.
Yeah, no problem. I'm completely screwed if I get itchy.
Oh, true.
I've got to get a stick and put up the mask.
No, I would leave you here and I go out and you finish your thing where you have to do and come back. Yeah. And so we started talking, and he said, oh, I've been to India. And I said, oh, that's nice. And, Mumbai, la, la, la. And he said, no, I went to east of India, near Calcutta. And I said, oh, really? That's interesting. And he said, oh, in a place that you wouldn't know, etc. And I said, oh, what? Because my mum's family comes from, that side of the country. That's where my nana, my mum's dad, was a coal mine engineer, and he was one of the first Indians to be given that title.
Oh, wow.
And as a manager in the coal mines in Bengal, which was like West Bengal. And he said, well, I went to Dhanbad and I just nearly fell off my chair. Dhanbad is like a coal mine area where all my uncles, my mum's brothers and everybody were there. And I went, I can't believe this. We're talking about Dhanbad here at Luton Town Football Club, Business Club in Luton. I said, nobody would know that. Yeah. What are the chances of that? Yeah. So then I kind of talked to him, and because it started off with a friend of mine, Jo. I don't know if you know Jo Wareham from Little Branding Company, and she is fabulous. Yeah. Anyway, she's fabulous. And so she's, going yak, yak, yak. And she was sitting between me and this gentleman, Neil. And, oh, this is my friend Bina, and she's written a book, la, la, la. And so, that's how it started. And so, yeah, he and then I sent him a book, and he said, oh, my wife is, she runs a book club. And I said, oh, I'll send you a book. So I sent him the book. And he said he started reading it before his wife could. He received it on a Friday or a Saturday, and he started reading it on a Sunday afternoon after lunch. And he said he couldn't put it down. Wow. And he read it straight off in 4 hours. He just sat there and read it. And he said, this has never happened to me.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, and like you say, it's not necessarily a book that's aimed at men or anything. It
would pick up. And
yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I've been reading little bits about it. And, when I read your section in Fab Collab, that's what made me go, oh, I quite fancy having a look at this, because I'm not a very good reader. I'm not going to lie. I really struggle with. It's like I have to read the same sentence a couple of times for it to sink in, and I'm not ashamed to say that either. It's just one. I've got many qualities, and I've got many things that hold me back, and I try to not let reading hold me back, and I've tried to get better at it and stuff. But when I really love something, then I read it so easy. I don't. It's I struggle when it's boring things.
Well, we all do. We all do.
But then when it's something like your book, it's all about like the human experience in many ways, and how to sort of not lose track, of yourself, and to see how great things are possible. This is like everything that I do in my life. I try, I want to show people that just because you're from Luton, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve. People have come from far worse places. I mean, living under Idi Amin,
Yeah.
I don't know many places that could be worse than that.
I mean, it was a really beautiful country, and you know, it was really great, and you know, it happened, and I think I've always been proud of Luton, and okay, it's got its issues, but then who hasn't?
Yeah.
You know, unless you go to one of these really elite places in the UK or wherever, there's always that, you know, that there are good areas and bad areas of any place. And it also means it's all about what you make of your life.
Yeah.
For me, Luton's been good to me all the way through my family and so on. And so, you know, I have nothing to complain about. In fact, I'm very proud, and I you know, tell people I'm a proud Lutonian. You'll see it on Twitter and everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely do. This is how I got to know you. You know, you are out there and proud, and I think because of that, you've been awarded with many certificates from people and businesses within Luton and across the UK. You know, you've obviously you're a type of person that doesn't just do the sort of stuff that you do to achieve your own goals, but you want to give back and you want to help people in the community and provide a better future for people that are coming up. So. Let's talk about some of your awards, because I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sitting up there, and then I can see another one sitting back there.
Yeah.
Have you got any others hidden away?
No, I've actually put a few away. No, but the thing is, it's awards is, you know, is kind of like acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't do anything for awards as such. It happens by the way, especially if you're in business, and if you're doing well, and if you are part of a business community or whatever. It is, of course, an accolade, and it does say to the world that, you know, you're successful.
You're very good at what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're successful. Definitely. You're good at what you do, and you know, it's kind of window to the world. But at the same time, I think, especially if they're community awards, and you know about the community awards as well, you know, Moshtaq and his beautiful team, fabulous team. Yeah, of course. And you know, even if you're not inspired, just talking about these guys and just, you know, seeing what they do.
Well, yeah, let me give a very special shout out to someone who works at Community Interest and works for Mustaq Markham, Amy Clark.
Amy, yeah, we love Amy.
Amy is amazing, isn't she? She's so fun and she's so energetic and happy, and the gift that she gives Luton is probably how humble she is. I think, because I've never seen someone so hardworking within the community that is never in the pictures. Do you know what I mean? She's always in the background all the time, and she doesn't care for the limelight in any way whatsoever. She's a very special person to me. I really love Amy, and I've been very lucky that over this time I've got to be able to call her a friend as well. So
that's lovely.
It's one of the best parts of this job is that what I do. I know I can't really call it a job. It's a bit weird to call it a job, but for what I get to do, I get to meet wonderful people such as yourself or Mustaq or Amy or Kev from ABCD in Luton, or the wonderful people at Discover Islam, people at Keach, people at Noah. It's just, I'm so blessed to.
No, we all are. We all are, and this is where, you know, you have to find these people. You know, they find you. I think in life we all get found by our tribe, good or bad, and I think it's up to us then to make something of it. And you know, we have to be kind of a bit more aware of what's around us, who's around us, and you know, if you can make a slight difference, it doesn't have to be much, and often it doesn't even cost you money or anything. It's just a way of thinking about, you know, people have helped me all through my life. You know, we always get a hand up, and we always get a, you know, push towards the next step up the ladder. We always have somebody who's helping us. You know, you might not think about it, or you might not think consciously that, oh, that person really helped me to get to wherever. But if you really think about it, there's always somebody who's been there for you.
We never do things by ourselves.
For you, and they've actually either inspired you or made something happen for you,
Yeah.
or given you, just held your hand and given you a leg up or whatever. But the fact is that you can't then just hold on to that. You have to then pass it on.
Exactly. Yes,
You
I
have to
agree.
pass
I
it on.
agree so much. This is the thing that gets lost a lot of time in success, right?
Yeah.
Which, of course, enjoy your success,
Of
right?
course.
Of course, so you should. But at the same time, the whole point of success is to make sure that it continues across generations, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you become very successful in Luton, I like to see people like that giving back, because
Yeah.
ultimately we want more of people like that person who can give back, right? And the only way we're going to do that is by raising everyone up together.
Exactly.
It's the only way. And whether that is through setting up community things like community events, or setting up like initiatives that can help people, or going into schools, talking to people like that way, inspiring people, like whatever it is that the person does, as long as the benefit in the end of it is that we have helped the next generation, you can't be more happy than that. So it's a shame that sometimes with success people then turn that into greed.
But
that's a shame.
I just, so the awards are great and it's been nice, and there have been people in my life who suddenly have come through and just started making things happen for me, and with awards and stuff like that. I'm very happy for them that I've got these and acknowledgement, and I'm part of the business community here and other communities in Luton. But at the same time, we're all same in that respect. So you have to do something for others as well. And I try to be a good person.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, obviously, like, because I always like to ask people why they feel like their innate nature is to help people, because it is almost like an innate thing, or it can be something where you might not always have been this way, and then you found something and it made you change, or you had something horrible happen maybe that then affected you to make you change. For it to be innate, I think is quite a rarity, to see someone who just is always doing good. Usually it comes from a place of pain. For me, when someone has to develop themselves and they realise that the thing about life is to help. So for you, what was it, that makes you have that ability inside you?
I think I've inherited it from my mum.
Yeah.
I really have. And the reason being that mum and my grandma, I think, and but it's definitely more from my mum, because even when she was suffering, she always looked after others. She would, she was a very maternal person in every way. So she would just like gather everybody around, and she's just kind of get everybody into her fold and look after kids and look after neighbors. And here, even if somebody was having a baby, she'll be there knitting away for them, and food, and just typical mum. But she extended that to everybody. It didn't matter who you were. If you came into her life, that's it, and basically I think that kind of rubbed off, I suppose. It rubbed off. And I don't know, I think it's just the way it's been. And to some degree, always, I think mom would always say that before you think about yourself, think about somebody else as well. And I think in our Indian kind of culture is, at least in our family, it is that, if you got one thing and you're sitting there, I'll give it to you first, to say you have it first before I have it, or let's have half, and you have the bigger half and I'll have the smaller half. You know how it goes. And it's just become a way of life.
That
you
sounds
can't.
like me with my partner when we're sharing chips, but it's not me wanting that to happen. She just takes most of the chips.
Well, actually, my husband and I, we have a fight about the chips, because if somebody's having chips, I have to have one of their chips. I have to. It's the way its life is, you know. And he hates it. He said, I'll buy you a whole. No, but I just want one of them, you know.
Yeah, but it starts with one and then it's another
I just want one. I just want one. But then, you know. But well, chips is like that, isn't it? Come on, you know, you have to have a chip. If you see somebody, if I'm having my lunch or dinner with anybody out there and they've ordered chips, I said, I've got to have one of your chips. You know?
Oh, there's going to be controversy after this podcast. That's the most controversial statement that you've made.
Well, you know, chips is chips. You know, there are no barriers when it comes to chips.
It's funny though, because I've always said this with the chips thing. I know that we're going off a little bit here,
no, but it's live.
Quite a funny
it's good.
Thing. So if I came up to you and I just like took a pound off of you, right? You'd be absolutely furious. I've just stolen a pound of you. But if someone takes another person's chip, we're all alright with it. We're like, yeah, nice one.
but you would ask, won't you?
Yeah.
You would say, "Can I have a chip, please?" Unless
I
it's friends.
I just find it funny because it's like the chip is kind of the only thing that it's okay to take from someone else.
Yeah, because you want
you understand that they're going to take
if
one
you
of
got
yours.
if the thing is if there's fish and chips or you know if you got something else, you're not going to go and grab that. You're only going to grab the chip, one chip, you know. So it's okay, but it has that special place, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's about like you know having a bond with someone as well. Yeah. I don't think I could do that to a stranger.
No. But do you know what? If I've done this quite often when say I'm having lunch with some people at business or whatever, and if somebody else has got chips and I haven't, I will say to them, I love chips. Can I have one of yours, please? I do. And so far, apart from my husband, nobody has said no.
It's probably because you're so assertive when you say it, though, that it's hard to say no.
No, it's nothing assertive.
But also, I think it is just like people are just nice, you know.
Yeah, for one chip, and then they'll say, "Oh no, I have more." And I say, "I just want one."
Yeah, exactly. But that's quite funny. But yeah, how do you develop your relationships when it comes to you talking about you sitting down, you have meetings with people and getting to know people. A lot of the time in business and in life, it's about making a relationship really effective. Yeah. So have you got any tips for people for like what they could do to?
My tip is be yourself.
Yes.
Be natural. Be yourself, because people will find you. People will understand you. People will either they like you or they don't. There's no two ways about it. It's like with everybody else. You will either click with that person fairly quickly, or for some reason you won't. It doesn't mean that you're going to be rude to them or anything like that, but it just means that you probably won't kind of be on the same wavelength, as it were. And that means that realistically, it's fine. Not everybody can love you or like you, and you can't like and love everybody.
Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't stop you from being a human being, Be nice to each other. It doesn't cost you anything.
It's like being authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with business and anything like that, I think it's an extension of yourself as a relationship, because it's the same as you and I. I don't know who you are, and I didn't really know who you are until you came here and we started talking like that. We've said hello to each other and so on.
Course, yeah.
But we're having a laugh about chips now.
Yeah.
So the fact is that you take the individual as they are, and I think relationships are such that you will, it's our kind of vibes, our energy, which will come through as to whether, you click with that person or you have a good conversation or not. And business is the same, because especially if it is your own business and, we are part of the business community, it's literally an extension of yourself. And I always say that, if you've got a business, then you become the father or the mother of that business. You are that because you created it. So therefore, you have to actually be mindful of what you're saying, what you're not saying, what you're doing, what you're not doing, because it's a bit like you as father and mother, or you as parents, what you say to your kids, what you do to your kids, how you behave in front of them, because they pick it up like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Employees is the same.
Yeah.
The business community is the same. That people will see you, judge you from their experience of you.
Yeah.
You make a judgment call on how you've been spoken to, how you've been treated, and as Maya Angelou said. Have you heard that from Maya Angelou?
Well, I read in your book.
Yeah, well, she
Maya
said,
Angelou said,
well, she is well, she isn't anymore, but she was a wonderful person. And even you can get audio of her books and things like that. And one of the things she said was, people will never remember who you are, what you are, but they will remember how you treated them. In short, I mean, it's a long phrase, but they'll never remember what you said, what you did, whatever, but they will always remember how you treated them.
Yeah.
And that is so, so important and so true, because each kind of interaction you have, whether it is just literally you pick up the phone and you answer the phone to a client or a customer or to a business associate or whoever, a supplier, is how you talk to them. Yesterday, I was I'm helping one of my clients, and they've got a huge company over West London way, and maintenance company. And I was talking to a young guy, doing like a first interview with him, and a plumber. And the first thing he said after I introduced myself and said who I was and whatever, and he said, "Oh, how are you?"
Oh, that's interesting.
Which none of them have asked me before. And that I went, "Oh, I'm good, thank you. Nice to be talking to you." And then we went and had all the conversation, and he was really great. But right at the end, he said, "Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for your call. I really enjoyed the call."
Yeah, he's already put 2 ticks to his name. Yeah, that's really really good.
And so it didn't take. It came across very natural, and he seemed very natural, but it literally stood him apart from everybody in my memory, because I spoke to 5 guys yesterday in the afternoon, 5 of them, carpenters and plumbers. They were all good, don't get me wrong, but he just stood out.
Stood apart, yeah. That's the thing. When it's whenever you are applying to anything whatsoever, you want to stand out, because that's going to be the difference between you getting the job and not getting the job. Sometimes, at times it could be like you've got a whole list of people to interview who are very similar in regard to their skills and abilities, how much they're asking for, what they're willing to offer the company. But then realistically, at the end of it, it's going to be, do you like them? A lot of the time.
And people make up decisions. I'm being in HR, people, as when you walk through that door. I do mentoring as well. I mentor a lot of young kids. I mentor students. Mentored them at sixth form college, and people seem to gravitate towards me, youngsters, and especially when they're going through tough time or whatever. I don't know how, but also I'm one of these very nosy people. HR people are very nosy. They are. We need to know everything, and I'm a bit like my mom, and I'm old, so I don't care. I need to know everything. But joking apart, it's listening to what people are saying or not saying to you, and then for us talking about connections and relationships, it's up to us then to take that one stage further. Because when you ask that individual to say, when you said this, what did you mean?
Yeah.
Or have you tried this? Or can I help you? Would you like me to talk to you? Another example, very quickly. I met somebody through a friend, and they're like a friend's relation. But anyway, so under very unusual circumstances, she is a young Indian lady, a surgeon in one of the major hospitals. She wanted to apply, and we started just talking, and she said, "Oh, I gave her my book," and she said, "I can't put your book down." Even at work, as soon as I finish something, and I have 10 minutes, I want to go and read the book. But she was saying to me that, and I said, "Well, is there anything that I can help you with?" And she said, "Well, I've got this interview coming up in about a month's time, and it's an internal one, and it's one of these ones where one of the senior consultants, he's leaving, and it's almost the job is like dead man's shoes, with kind of hierarchy and everything else. And I really want to go for it, and I have applied for it, but I've got this major interview coming, and I'm kind of." And I said, "Why are you frightened of it?" Um, and she was just saying, "Oh, this, that, other, and I'm this and I'm that, and they expecting that and whatever." And I said, "Look, stop. You know your capabilities. You are a surgeon, so that means you're not just anybody. You are a surgeon at this young age, and so you must be good enough to be doing that. Otherwise, nobody would have you. They would have kicked you out, a long time ago." Of course, if you're not good enough, you're gone,
Yeah.
So if you want something, why are you worried about it? Because all you have to do is break it down into steps. You were talking about, you're thinking about that goal there, but think about all the bits in between, and think about now and what's near, and then prepare for it. And I said, look, it's not, and interviews are not really to be scared of. It's all about fact finding. It's very simple, but people make it very difficult. The employer has a job. This is the job. This is the person they want to fill it. There's got to be a match.
Yeah.
And so they're looking for the right person, or the person who can be the closest gap, the shortest gap between what the job is requiring and what they have, whether it's skills, knowledge, experience, qualifications.
Because people can always be trained.
Exactly. Yeah. So how much is that gap? And what do we need to do with that gap? And that's it. Now, you know what the job is, you've done your research, and if of course you're in the same, organization, find out about it. Who, what, when, how, all of that, number one. Then it becomes familiar. The reason why people are nervous about interviews is because they think that is the unknown quantity, is the unknown territory. God knows what's going to happen as soon as I walk through the door, and they'll be like, monsters. No. If you think about it, it's again relationships. They want somebody to be, in their organization. They want to employ you. They want the right person, but you think of yourself as the right person for that job that you want it, and you know definitely you're the right person. Then you're going to make sure that you've done your research. You know who's going to be at the interview, and most people know what kind of questions, because the questions are all related to the job and who you are, what skills they need, and what experience you've had, because that's going to be used as transferable skills in this new job, and they can then look at how close you are to where they've got to train you up, or they have to get you used to the culture of the company, etc., etc.
So, I would just say as well that if there is ever a time when you're in the job interview and you don't know, there's no harm in saying, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's a great strength to be able to say, I don't know. Because even if you don't get the job afterwards, the best thing what I've always utilised is ask for feedback.
Exactly.
And then you can see where your gap was.
Exactly.
And fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we did all the preparations, and we talked, and over about 2 or 3 sessions, and it wasn't anything revolutionary. It was just me getting her to think and take
believe
each
in
step.
herself a little bit,
and just getting herself to think about it, and the more she thought and the more she prepared and then she was relaxed, and confidence comes from you being relaxed and you knowing your stuff. That's it. Because the reason why you have butterflies and you start feeling sick is because you don't know, because you haven't prepared enough. Once you know, then it's familiar, and you said, yeah, fine, okay, no problem.
It's easy. Water for ducks back.
Well, no, but the thing is, then you feel that you're not going into something unknown, and you've given it your best shot, and she's got the job.
She got the job. Well done to her. Well done to her. And well done to you for being a good mentor and coach there, because that's an important skill to have, to be able to deliver that to people. Sometimes you don't feel like you can be confident, and you do need someone to talk to you. And if you have the wrong person talk to you, it can actually make you go down even more.
Well, I think a lot of the young people now, I think the world is such a fast-paced world. It's not what I know or I knew when I was young. And there's so many pressures that we don't realize, they have to go through. And I think a lot of the times it is about us stepping back and saying, what else do they need? And a lot of the times what they need is that attention, one-to-one. And even if it is just few things that you just talk to them about or ask them, and then give them some kind of feedback or give them some kind of recommendations, suggestions, it actually does work. And I think a lot of the times, we kind of judge youngsters very brutally, I think, very harsh. And the behavior sometimes, if it is a difficult behavior, it's not because they want to be difficult, it's because they want some attention. Because they are suffering inside and they don't know how to release it, how to let it out. And so they're all good inside. It's just that often we don't actually give them the chance to prove that they're good and give them the chance to flourish.
Yeah, because you need to see it. Just having someone, it's like, when I was a kid, I was always called the ugly duckling in my family when I was really little. Like, one day you'll be beautiful. Don't worry, you'll be beautiful one day, right? And you take in that negative a lot easier, right? And then when someone tells you something positive, like my mom would say, no, you're not, you're a handsome young man, and blah, blah, you just don't listen. You don't listen whatsoever. No. You need actual affirmation of the thing that, okay, maybe talking about beauty is incorrect here, but when it comes to a skill, don't really know that you're good at it until you put it into practice and then you see it for yourself. It doesn't matter if everybody says you're good. You need to know you're good. Right, and that's where that confidence is built from. That's like the foundation.
But also, I think if you get the right person, and also about mums, kids don't want to know about mums because what is my mum, or it's just my mum. Mum doesn't know anything. And I often get friends of mine who will say to me, Bina, can you talk to her? Can you talk to him? Because they'll listen to you, but they won't listen to me. And so what I'm telling them exactly what mum would have said to them, because I've been prepped up by mum. And then, but the fact is, I think that's where even mums, of course, and kids realize it. And I say to the kids that, look, especially youngsters, who understand, and teenagers who quite often rebel, against mom and dad and whatever, because they think they know it all. And they, mom and dad are so ancient, they don't know anything. You have to make them understand that, look, they do know what they're talking about. Maybe you need to also get them to understand what you're going through. But also, time goes very fast. And before you know it, you may be away from your mom and dad, or you get to a point where they're gone. That's when you'll miss them. You really, really will miss them, because especially mom, mom and dad both. But, mom is somebody that you can never have somebody like her again in your life. So I treasure her.
Yeah. No, well, let me just check one thing. Sorry, I just want to see if we've got time for one more. Oh, we're very close to the end.
Okay.
So let's just, do you know what? I'll save this one. We'll do another podcast in a future day.
Fine.
And we'll attack some more stuff. Because
Sure.
I feel like we could go for another hour.
Fine.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, firstly, I just want to say thank you for having me in. It's been a real big pleasure. Everybody in the community, when I mention your name, sings your praises to the highest heaven. So
thank you.
It's a great honour for me to be welcomed into the building. No, it's my honour.
My honour that you actually been here and come and we've done that.
Don't be silly. I'm nobody. I'm just an idiot in a suit.
No. See, now Auntie Bina's going to say to you, not nobody. You are Luton Deadpool. And there's only one of you, so you're unique. But you are.
Unique or insane, who knows?
No, unique.
We'll leave that to the people to judge.
No.
I try not to think about it too much. I really try not to think about it too much because, I get a lot of messages from people. I get a lot of interest from people. My phone doesn't stop.
Of course.
I have to turn it on airplane mode sometimes during the day so it doesn't run out of battery.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, and if I think about that stuff too long, it starts to get to my head. And it has done at times throughout this time, when things have been going really well and I just will talk a bit too much about it to my friends and to my family. And do you know what? I find that I enjoy this better when I don't revel in the success of it whatsoever.
Yeah, of course.
Like I say, I'm on my goal with what I want to do with this, and I'm nowhere even near yet. So to think of anything as success at the moment, I just try not to.
But I think success is really in everyday life. If you think about it, success is different for different people. But I think most of us, we think what success is, but actually when you get to that, then quite often you think, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit more of a hollow feeling than what you actually
success
thought.
is about being happy every day,
Yeah.
being really happy with yourself, whoever you are. Be happy with yourself, and find those little nuggets in each day. Do you do that every night?
Yeah. Do you know what? This is going to sound a bit unusual or whatever, but I've started praying every night before I go
Fabulous.
to bed, and to say thank you for everything.
Do you know what? Have you heard of 3 good things?
No, I haven't.
Right, there you go. This is from Auntie Bina.
Okay, I'm very interested.
3 good things. So at night, you can either write it down on your phone or think about it, but it's nice to write it down somewhere just before you go to sleep. 3 good things that happened to you today. Every day you do that, okay? And it could be, some days will not be that good as others, and you might think, oh, it didn't really happen much at all today, but then be grateful for what you have. And then you'll find that, that cup of tea I just set down after the hard day and went, that was so nice. Well, that was a good thing. One of the 3 good things that happened. And the more you do that, the more good things happen.
Really? Okay.
And your list will start getting bigger and bigger every night.
Well, I will hold you to account for that. And if it doesn't happen, I'm coming back. No, I'm joking. No, thank you so much. And do you know what? To end this, how about you tie this onto me?
I'd love to. Let you be the one. I love to do that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Seriously, it's a beautiful gift to give to someone. I'm really happy that you decided to give it to me.
I'm so happy.
It really means a lot. Thank you.
I'll tie it a bit
tight. Anyone that isn't watching right now, I'm having a bit of red thread tied around me with this beautiful little inscription on the other side.
And it says Om.
It's wonderful. What does it say?
It says Om.
Om.
Om. The Om, like in the yoga and everything.
Yeah.
It's Om.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it, Bina. Thank you so much. And just quickly, where can people buy the red thread and Fab Collab? Where can they get it from?
They get you can get both of them on Amazon.
Yep.
Okay. That one you can also buy it on the website, which is called the Red Thread Book.co.uk. And so if you buy it from the website, that's my book website, then you will get a signed copy with the red thread. If it comes from Amazon, it's just the book.
It's just the book. Okay,
but both of them are on Amazon as well.
That you go to the redthread.co.uk
theredthreadbook.co.uk, and you will see that.
Theredthreadbook.co.uk. I'll put a link to the website in the description for the podcast, so everybody can get a copy, because honestly I can't wait to get home and start reading this. I'm really excited. Anyway, thank you very much, Bina, and we'll see you soon. Love you, Luton. Well done.